From the Presidential Palace, Manila, Dateline Malacañang.
Good day. This is Dateline Malacañang. Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. on Thursday canceled his trip to Dubai in order to facilitate the dispatch of a high-level delegation to Tehran, Iran. In an next post, the president said that the delegation aims to provide the necessary assistance to the 17 Filipino seafarers who were held hostage by Yemen's Houthi rebels aboard their vessel in the Red Sea. Earlier, Foreign Undersecretary for Migrant Workers Affairs Eduardo de Vega said that the Iran-backed Houthis seized the Galaxy Leader cargo ship on November 19th. While the vessel is Israel-owned, it is operated by a Japanese company. President Marcos was supposed to attend the 28th Conference of the Parties, or COP28, to the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, or UNFCCC. Over 70,000 delegates, including heads of state and world leaders, are expected to join the COP28, which will be hosted by the United Arab Emirates. On his behalf, the chief executive entrusted to Department of Environment and Natural Resources, or DENR Secretary Maria Antonio Yulo Loizaga, to lead the COP28 delegation and articulate the Philippines' statement.
Dateline Malacañang.
Philippine Executive Secretary Lucas Bersamin represented President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. on Thursday in commemorating the 160th birthday anniversary of Andres Bonifacio at the Bonifacio National Monument in Caloocan City. Spearheaded by the National Historical Commission of the Philippines, or NHCP, the event bears the theme Katungkulan at Pananagutan tungo sa kaunlaran ng bayan, which emphasizes the importance of a collective approach in driving the country's advancement and prosperity. It serves as a call to action for all Filipinos to recognize the shared responsibility in contributing to the nation's growth. In his speech, read by Executive Secretary Bersamin, the President said that Andres Bonifacio was just an ordinary person that dreamed and showed bravery and leadership in the hour of need. This is the reason why each year, the country gives tribute to Bonifacio and other Filipinos who gave up their life for the country. Let's listen to the speech of Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr., read by Executive Secretary Bersamin.
It is my privilege to read to you the address of our beloved President, who right now is preparing to leave for Dubai to attend that all-important international conference among heads of state called the Conference of the Parties. This will be a conference on climate change. He would have himself preferred to be present today and deliver his address. But the time that he will spend making that trip prevents him from sparing the time for this occasion. So may I now be permitted to read his message. Kaisa ng bawat mamamayan sa loob at labas ng bansa. Kasama ninyo ako sa pagdiriwang ng ika-160 anibersaryo ng kapanganakan ni Gat Andres Bonifacio. Ano ba ang pagkakakilala ng kasalukuyang Pilipino kay Andres Bonifacio? Kilala natin siya bilang ama ng katipunan at ama ng himagsikang Pilipino. Ang kanyang imahe ay nakatatak na sa ating isipan at sumisimbolo sa katapangan ng ating mga ninuno na nanguna sa revolusyon para sa kalayaan. Sa ating modernong panahon, hindi may tatanggi na sinasalamin din niya ang isang ordinaryong Pilipino. Naranasan niyang tumigil sa pag-aaral nang sila ay maulila at siya ay pumasok sa iba't ibang trabaho para suportahan ang kanyang sarili at mga kapatid. Sa tamang gulang ay namulat sa katotohanang dapat manindigan sa prinsipyo at ipagtanggol ang mga Pilipinong inaapi sa sarili nitong bayan. Sa madaling salita, si Andres Bonifacio ay isang ordinaryong Pilipino na nangarap at nagpamalas ng kakaibang giting, katatagan at pamumuno sa oras ng matinding pangangailangan. Ito ang dahilan kung bakit taon-taon ay nagbibigay pugay tayo sa kanya at sa iba pang mga mamamayang nagbuwis ng buhay para sa bayan. Ang kabayanihan ay likas sa sinuman kung hahayaan nilang ang kanilang puso ay mag-alab sa pag-ibig, pagmamalasakit at pangunawa sa kanilang kapwa at bayan. Kahit mahigit isa't kalahating siglo na ang nakakalipas, ay nananatiling buhay pa rin ang diwa ng kanyang katauhan at ehemplo. Ilaan natin ang araw na ito upang parangalan si Gat Andres Bonifacio at ang kanyang kontribusyon sa pagtataguyod ng ating pagkakakilanlan bilang Pilipino. Bukod dito, inaanyayahan ko rin ang bawat isa na tularan ang kanyang kabayanihan at pagmamahal sa bayan at ipakita ang mga ito sa ating pang-araw-araw na gawain. Sa diwa ng bayaning si Gat Andres Bonifacio, tayo'y tinatawag hindi lamang na ialay ang ating buhay para sa inang bayan, kundi pati na ang pagbuhos ng ating kahusayan, galing, tapang at oras upang ang bawat hakbang natin ay maging ilaw ng pag-asa at inspirasyon para sa ating mga kababayan. Nakikita na natin ang kabayanihang ito sa ating mga makabagong bayani. Sa sipag at tiyaga ng mga manggagawang Pilipino, sa walang kapantay na galing ng ating mga nurse at doktor, sa wagas na dedikasyon ng mga guro, sa matibay na kagitingan ng ating kapulisan at kasundaluhan, sa di matatawarang sakripisyo ng ating mga OFW, silang lahat ay nagbibigay buhay at saysay sa pag-usbong ng ating bayan. Gaya nila, maaaring nating ipagpatuloy ang nasimulan ni Gat Andres Bonifacio at tiyaking may papamana natin sa mga kabataan ang tunay at wagas na pagmamahal sa bayan tulad ng kanyang ipinamalas. Tulad nga ng isang linya sa tulang pag-ibig sa tinubuang lupa na isinulat ni Gat Andres. Walang mahalagang hindi inihandog ng may pusong mahal sa bayang nagkupkop. Ang bawat isa sa atin ay may mahalagang tungkulin sa pagsulong ng Pilipinas. Lahat ay dapat makilahok sa mga gawaing magpapayabong ng ating kultura, ekonomiya at lipunan. Lalo na ngayon na sinisikap nating may taguyod ang isang bagong Pilipinas. Mga minamahal kong kababayan, ngayon ika-160 anibersaryo ng kapanganakan ni Gat Andres Bonifacio, gampanan natin ang tungkulin ito. At bilang pasasalamat sa kanya at sa lahat ng ating mga bayani, ating pahalagahan at pangalagaan ang kalayaan ng ating inang bayan ngayon at magpakailanman. Mabuhay ang alaala ni Andres Bonifacio. Mabuhay ang bayang Pilipino. Muli, yan po ang mensahe ng ating mahal na Pangulo. At mula naman po sa akin, mahalin po natin lalo ang ating bansa at panghawakan natin ang pangako ng bagong Pilipinas na may maliwanag na bukas at puno ng oportunidad para sa lahat. Isang makabuluhang pagdiriwang po sa lahat at maraming salamat.
Philippine Executive Secretary Lucas Bersamin.
Dateline Malacañang.
Malacañang on Wednesday said that President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. has vowed to look for ways to ensure the immediate passage of measures that would help strengthen the country's cybersecurity efforts. In a statement, Presidential Communications Office or PCO Secretary Cheloy Garafil said, the President made the commitment after the Private Sector Advisory Council or PSAC requested him to certify as priority legislation the 3 bills pending in the Senate in line with the Philippine Digital Transformation Framework. President Marcos met with PSAC Digital Infrastructure Group at the State Dining Room of Malacañang Palace in Manila on Tuesday to discuss the digital infrastructure work plans. The 3 bills being pushed by PSAC and are pending at the Senate include Senate Bill or SB number 1365 or the proposed Cybersecurity Act, SB 2039 or the proposed Anti-Mule Act, and SBs 2150 and 2385 or the proposed Online Site Blocking Act. The proposed Cybersecurity Act aims to institutionalize and strengthen the National Cybersecurity Interagency Committee as well as promote and increase the country's cybersecurity resilience and improve its posture. On the other hand, the proposed Anti-Mule Act seeks to prohibit money mules and other fraudulent acts involving bank accounts, e-wallets, and other financial accounts, while the proposed online site blocking bill intends to institutionalize online site blocking of websites showing pirated content to protect the creative industry and consumers against online content piracy. Based on the data from the Department of Information and Communications Technology, or DICT, the Philippines ranked 4th worldwide in the number of cyber attacks, with 3,000 cyber incidents logged from 2020 to 2022. About half of the reported cyber attacks targeted the government.
Dateline Malacañang.
Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. has declared the last working day of November as National Bike to Work Day to raise public awareness of the viability of cycling as a mode of transportation and promote active transport in the Philippines. Proclamation number 409, signed by Executive Secretary Lucas Bersamin on behalf of the President on November 28th and made public on Wednesday evening, cites the need to make cycling a mainstream mode of transportation and further improve cycling infrastructure in the Philippines. The proclamation states that the Philippine Development Plan, or PDP 2023 to 2028, underscores the need to develop an active transport network and accord highest priority to pedestrians and cyclists in the hierarchy of road users. Under Proclamation number 409, the Interagency Technical Working Group and Active Transport, or IATWGAT, of the Department of Health, or DOH, is designated to lead, coordinate, and supervise the observance of National Bike to Work Day. The IATWGAT is also mandated to identify the programs, projects, and activities for the annual celebration, as well as coordinate with relevant non-government organizations and civil society groups. All other national government agencies and instrumentalities, including government-owned or controlled corporations, government financial institutions, and state universities and colleges, are directed to provide the necessary assistance and support to the DOH and the IATWGAT for the effective implementation of the proclamation. Local government units and the private sector are encouraged to support the yearly celebration of the National Bike to Work Day. Republic Act, or RA number 8749, or the Philippine Clean Air Act, provides that the state must ensure a balance between development and environmental protection and maintain a quality of air that protects human health and welfare. RA 8749 also encourages non-motorized transportation. The 1987 Constitution also declares it a policy of the state to protect and advance the right of the people to a balanced and healthful ecology in accord with the rhythm and harmony of nature.
Dateline Malacañang.
The Norwegian Embassy in Manila on Wednesday said that the agreement between the Philippine government and the National Democratic Front of the Philippines, or NDFP, to revive peace negotiations is a step closer to lasting peace in the country. In an ex-post, Norwegian ambassador to the Philippines, Christian Halaas Leister, said that Norway remains committed to support the two sides in search of a solution to the 50-year-old armed struggle of the Communist Party of the Philippines, or CPP. The Philippines and the NDFP, in a joint communique dated November 23rd, agreed to come up with a framework that sets the priorities for the peace negotiations. The two parties said they envision and look forward to a country where a united people can live in peace and prosperity. The framework, which will set the parameters for the final peace agreement, shall be agreed upon by both countries. The Oslo Joint Communique was a product of a series of informal discussions held in the Netherlands and Norway starting in 2022 between the emissaries of the Philippine government and NDFP with the facilitation of the Royal Norwegian government. Norwegian Foreign Minister Espen Barth Eide graced the signing ceremony, which was held at the City Hall of Oslo, and affirmed the continuing commitment of the Norway as a third-party facilitator.
Dateline Malacañang.
The Philippines Department of Migrant Workers, or DMW, on Wednesday expressed its support for the ratification of the International Labor Organization, or ILO, Convention 190 on Violence and Harassment, citing its relevance for the protection of overseas Filipino workers, or OFWs. In a statement, DMW Officer in Charge, Undersecretary Hans Leo Magpayo said, OFWs, such as domestic workers, seafarers, health workers, and women workers who may face various forms of violence and harassment in their workplaces abroad, such as physical, psychological, sexual, or economic harm. Kakdak said the DMW views the ILO Convention as a landmark instrument that promotes the protection of the dignity and safety of all workers, whatever working status, sector, or occupation they are in. He said it will also help eliminate gender-based violence and harassment. In a letter dated October 13th, President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. endorsed the ratification of ILO Convention 190 to the Senate. The DMW, meanwhile, submitted a position paper to the Senate Foreign Relations Committee, chaired by Senator Amy Marcos, explaining that the ratification of the convention will highlight the Philippines' commitment to promoting safe and decent work for all Filipinos regardless of their country of destination. The DMW pledged to continue its efforts to empower and protect OFWs through continuous training and knowledge development, and provide remedies and assistance to those who experience violence and harassment in their work settings. ILO Convention 190 entered into force on June 25, 2021, and has been ratified by 6 countries: Argentina, Ecuador, Fiji, Namibia, Somalia, and Uruguay. It defines violence and harassment as a range of unacceptable behaviors and practices or threats thereof, whether a single occurrence or repeated, that aim at, result in, or are likely to result in physical, psychological, sexual, or economic harm, and includes gender-based violence and harassment. The convention also covers both the formal and informal economy and applies to the workplace, work-related activities, or work-related communications.
Dateline Malacañang.
And finally, Philippine Department of Agriculture, or DA Secretary Francisco Chu Laurel Jr. on Wednesday said that the national government is adopting the latest technologies and building more agricultural infrastructures to improve the rice production and increase farm yield and grain supply. Laurel said the government is moving with a sense of urgency to widen irrigation coverage and set up more drying facilities and other infrastructures needed to boost rice yield. In a speech at the 35th National Rice R4D Conference held in Nueva Ecija Province, Secretary Laurel said that the ultimate aim of the government is to minimize rice importation to achieve food security and sufficiency. So far, the country has imported around 2.8 million tons of rice, 1 million tons less than the volume of grains brought from abroad last year with improved rice harvest. Laurel said President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. wanted a sustainable rice value chain in the country, which could be achieved through the prioritization of research and development. He said the president wants livestock, poultry, fisheries, and high-value crops to be affordable, readily available, and accessible to Filipino consumers. President Marcos also assured that law enforcement agencies are ready to go after smugglers, hoarders, and price manipulators of farm products to protect both consumers and farmers. Citing that many of the 10 million farmers and fisherfolk are considered poor, Laurel said, minimized importation of rice and other agricultural products would create more jobs and reverse the shrinking trend of agriculture's contribution to economic growth. Latest DA data showed that around 2.4 million agricultural workers are involved in rice farming, and many of them are already approaching their senior years.
Dateline Malacañang.
Before we conclude our program, we would like to invite everyone to come and visit our Facebook page at Radyo Pilipinas World Service. You will be able to hear and view our Filipino and English programs, including news updates here in the Philippines. Kindly subscribe, like, and share our posts as well. And that concludes this edition of Dateline Malacañang. For Radyo Pilipinas World Service, this is Leo Magpayo. Good day and stay safe.
From the Presidential Palace, Manila, Dateline Malacañang.